Well, you have obviously noticed that the president is dressed a little differently this year. I don't normally wear this all day in the rain. Rain rust my metal. But this is a special occasion, and so two of us are wearing academic robes today because we have the opportunity in this convocation to recognize a world-renowned musician by granting George Shearing an honorary degree. Now, George may not have attended DePauw, but he's been an important part of the lives of many DePauw graduates for many, many years. And so I would call on one of those graduates, Dr. Ned Lampkin, class of 1956, to present George to us. Ned?
Thank you, Dr. Bottoms. I am very pleased and honored to fill a role that I understand is generally done by the provost of the university, but I am particularly appreciative that Dr. Bottoms has allowed me to be a little less formal and to share with you some of the background that leads to this particular occasion. I'm sure most of you in the alumni have become aware, as I have, of how many different groups of graduates there are who get together once or twice every year or two to renew and enjoy the friendships that they have made here at DePauw in the past. My wife and I belong to two such groups that meet annually. One of these is a group that meets in the Berkshires at the home of Max and Jean Stackhouse, and primarily people from the class of '57, and primarily people brought together by music. Many of us sang with the collegians when we were here, or in Joe Flummerfeld's case, directed the group. And others were graduates of the music school, and still others are very good friends from DePauw or spouses. Our visits are characterized generally by the usual sightseeing, food, drink, conversation, but the exception is we spend a lot of time singing. And it's a wonderful experience for us, but it was greatly enhanced when, in maybe the second or third time Martha and I attended one of these gatherings, a new couple joined us, and that couple was George and Ellie Shearing. Now, I had known Ellie from my time at DePauw when she and I sang together in the collegians. And I remembered vividly how she brought down the house by singing in the role of Eileen from Leonard Bernstein's Wonderful Town, a song entitled 100 Easy Ways to Lose a Man. After college, Ellie became a professional musician and moved to California and joined the Norman Luboff Choir. And while she was there, she had the very good fortune to meet one of the world's most admired, well-recognized musicians who was already, at that time, a living legend in his own right. This time, she did not lose the man, but she married him, and as they say, the rest is history. Ellie and George have shared many wonderful opportunities to enjoy music around the world. There was one time when a director decided, well, if George Shearing were coming to perform with his organization, the director could take a week's vacation. So he did. And Ellie then found herself the interim conductor of the Tokyo Symphony Orchestra. You might ask why so much focus on Ellie when we're here really to honor her husband, and the answer is, according to the old Sinatra song, you can't have one without the other. When you honor one, you honor the other, and when you love one, you love them both, as we all do. Now let me give you a little brief introduction, as is my responsibility, to George Shearing, an internationally recognized pianist, arranger, and composer who has written over 300 compositions, including the classic Lullaby of Birdland, which is a jazz standard today. Born in Battersea, South London, he made his first recordings in London in 1939 at the age of 20. In 1946, he came to New York, and in 1948 formed the George Shearing Quintet. The quintet played a wide variety of genre, from pretty ballads to up-tempo bop to Latin beat, all with an inventive, organized approach to jazz that became known as the Shearing sound. Their first hit, September in the Rain, in 1949, sold over 900,000 copies. And in the years that followed, the quintet became the most famous and popular jazz quartet in the world. In the 70s, George moved into playing duets with a series of virtuoso bassists and developed a frequent partnership with jazz vocalist Mel Torme, which led to 2 Grammy Awards. He has played for 3 U.S. presidents and received numerous awards on both sides of the Atlantic, including receiving the Order of the British Empire from Queen Elizabeth at Buckingham Palace. In 1992, he signed with Telarc and released a series of consistently exceptional albums, some featuring an updated version of his original quintet. His most recently released album is entitled The Rare Delight of You, an engaging collaboration with the guitarist-singer John Pizzarelli and the new quintet. One of George's recent compositions involved setting music to a series of Shakespeare songs and sonnets, which our group in the Berkshires has had the pleasure of singing with George at the piano. But if you really want to hear the professionals, there is a recording available with the Cambridge Singers in a John Rutter album entitled Feel the Spirit. Now, if you want to have a CD library that includes really good jazz, I recommend you go to Amazon.com and click on the name George Shearing. You will find, as I did, 754 options under popular and classical music. While George has been described as a, quote, people's pianist, loved by even the musically unsophisticated, he is a deeply serious musician, equally at home with hardcore jazz, bebop, quiet contemplative music, or even a Bach or Mozart concerto, all of which he delivers with unfailing excellence throughout his 6-decade career. But the reason we are here this morning is that despite the acclaim the world has given him, George has confided to us in our little group that through our annual get-togethers, he truly feels a part of the DePauw family. I recall on one occasion, the group of us went to Tanglewood where George was doing a performance, and in the course of playing one of his numbers, he worked in several lines from Here's to DePauw, which were recognizable to some of us in the crowd, but not everybody else. And our feeling is mutual. We, his DePauw friends, have welcomed him not just as a musician without peer, but also as a warm, witty, and most valued friend. Our intent this morning is to make that informal relationship a formal one. Mr. President, may I present George Albert Shearing, an exceptionally versatile artist and an accomplished musician, composer, and performer, whose singular style, the Shearing sound, has given pleasure to countless listeners around the world, for the degree of Doctor of Music.
Your music has meant a lot to many, many people in this room.
Thank you very much.
George Albert Shearing, you have employed your innate musical talents as a composer, arranger, and performer to grace the world with stylings that span several generations of 20th century listeners. Playing the piano since your early 20s in local pubs and music halls of your native England, tackling the challenges of blindness and poverty, you won, but turned down, university scholarships to pursue your love of performing. In 1949, you joined the sounds of piano, bass, drums, guitar, and vibroharp to form the George Shearing Quintet. The blending of these musical tones, punctuated by your innovative piano melodies, gave birth to a 30-year international career and the enduring legacy of the Shearing sound. You are a prolific composer, having written over 300 songs, including the memorable Lullaby of Birdland. You are a Grammy Award winner, a performer requested by presidents. You have been recognized by royalty. You truly illustrate the merits, rewards, and possible satisfaction from one of the industry's great talents and energies. As an institution that celebrates the creative and the performing arts, DePauw University is privileged to recognize you as an artist for whom music has been both a passion and a purpose. So upon the recommendation of the faculty, the Board of Trustees has authorized me to confer upon you, George Albert Shearing, the honorary degree of Doctor of Music. As a symbol thereof, I invest you with this hood and hand you this diploma bearing the great seal of the corporation and the signatures of the proper officials. Let me put this on you. And here's your diploma. Now, if you want to say something, you can.
Thank you very much. Receiving an honorary degree in music from DePauw University holds a very special meaning for me. My wife, Ellie, graduated from the School of Music in 1955. When I married Ellie, I feel like I married DePauw also. And as we say in the countryside of England, and I must use the accent so that you'll know, I said, I feel that we married DePauw, well, I married DePauw also, and all that that entails. My wife's friends and associates of DePauw have become my friends. And now, best of all, you have made me a member of the DePauw family. That, dear friends, is the greatest of honors. Perhaps the best way I can thank you for this is through my music. Actually, we usually do what we've just done. You're not usually witness to that. We do it in a thing called sound check. And if the microphone isn't right, it's made right by turning up or down the volume, as the case may be. I don't want to talk very much longer because I told you that I thought the best way I could thank you for bestowing this upon me is through my music. And in my life, I have written some 300 songs, 299 of which had a bumpy ride from relative obscurity to total oblivion. Here's the other one. You won't recognize it for a while because I'm going to adorn it with a couple of quotations built from a man who was born, I believe, in 1685. Not P.D.Q. Bach, Johann Sebastian Bach. I see you all recognize that as Stardust. As my encore, which I knew I was going to play, even if that had died, I was going to play it because that's my nature, But anyway, it happens to be a favorite song of mine, and certainly a favorite song of my wife, Ellie. And I'm going to kind of get under her skin a little bit because, you see, she's one of these classical musicians who has to read what's on the paper or practice it, I'm going to play an arrangement that I've never played before because I'm going to arrange it right now. I'm not even sure what you're going to hear in it. But the song you're going to hear is a favorite song of both Ellie's and mine. Just imagine. Thank you very much. Yeah, I must leave you with one thing other than thank you. Many years ago, when I used to have a woman in my band, and somebody came over and said to her, "Miss Himes, I can't tell you how much I enjoy your music." Well, I hadn't known Marjorie for very long. In fact, I hadn't known anyone over here for very long. And she decided that was her time to turn to this person in an irate voice. And when he said, "Miss Himes, I can't tell you how much I enjoyed your music," she said, "Well, then send someone over who can." Thank you very much. It's been wonderful being with you. And God bless you all.
Thank you, Mr. Shearing, now Dr. Shearing, for that wonderful musical interlude.